You're listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, a place to learn about how to grow your business and stay ahead of the technological advances before they become mainstream. Welcome to our series, As the Gears Turn, hosted by two of Ingram Micro's SMB Alliance Council members, Devaughn Bittle and Patrick Cash.
So, Devaughn, we're going to kick off today. We're going to spend a few minutes with Phil Poje, the CEO of Tech Orchard. I've known Phil for quite some time. And Phil, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, so thanks, Phil, for coming. I want to start with some background information on you. So Tech Orchard is the name of your company. Can you tell us how you got started and maybe how you got involved within the SMB space?
Yeah, so I actually started the company 12 years ago, and kind of interesting backstory is I was actually supposed to buy an IT company from a friend of mine, and that deal fell through. And so I had a few dollars in my pocket and didn't know what to do. And so I started thinking about the marketplace. And one of the things 12 years ago I thought would be a big piece of the IT market and of culture in general was the management and security of endpoints, such as mobile devices, tablets, and laptops. So I started looking around saying, what's out there that can manage these mobile devices? Because everyone has one. It's got all kinds of data on it. You can take photos, videos, have audio recording on it. So I came up with, I found out that there was a software out there called mobile device management software. So I started researching all the different companies and ultimately started Tech Orchard with the idea that we would become one of the best well-known or experts in this area of managing and helping companies manage their endpoints, such as mobile devices.
Very interesting. So I'm curious, how did you come up with the name Tech Orchard? It's a very unique name and I really like it.
Yeah, well, thanks. As many of the people who are listening today, you've started your own company. And I didn't think Poje Technology Services had any kind of a ring to it. And I didn't want it attached to my name. So I thought I wanted a name that would talk both about, that would, in the name, would explain what we do. Well, the problem is when you go out, you look for a URL and you go to GoDaddy or someplace to look for the URL. It says mobile technology or managing mobile devices or security and mobile. Everything's taken. And there's a lot of different names out there. So we started trying to get creative and say, what can we do? And we did a whiteboarding session with the digital ad agency I was working with. And we came up with the idea of Tech Orchard. And the idea is that tech for technology and orchard for the idea that we are managing all these various OSs. And we were thinking of like an apple orchard or any type of an orchard where you have these different variety of fruits, if you will. And Tech Orchard, believe it or not, was not a name that was picked up as yet. So that's how we came up with it, is with that technology and managing a variety of different OSs like an apple orchard and different varieties there. I still get calls every fall for people wanting to stop by and pick apples at my orchard. They're disappointed that we don't have apple trees or fruit trees of any kind, but we always have a good laugh with it. And so we both end the call with a good laugh.
That's great.
Well, and before we dive a little bit more into the nuts and bolts of business, you mentioned SMB and kind of working in that space, and obviously you're an Alliance member. Let's talk about Ingram and the SMB Alliance for a few minutes and kind of how your history, how you got started there, and maybe one or two top benefits that you've experienced being a member.
Yeah. So when I first connected with Ingram, I did not know about the SMB Alliance right at first. And it must have been probably a couple years into it that my account executive said, hey, have you ever heard of the SMB Alliance? And I hadn't. I was just getting licenses, didn't think much about it. So they introduced me to the SMB Alliance. And I think probably the couple of things that I've gained from it over the past couple of years is, number one, just some synergy and be able to talk to other members, such as the two of you and many others who are listening to this podcast, just for best practices, for knowledge sharing, for thinking through how technology is changing and how we as business owners are managing that change. And then the other big area for me is that over the years, although we started specializing in the VMware Workspace ONE platform. We have got additional certifications, and just having Ingram Micro there with marketing funds and educational funds that help us invest back into our business has been a big piece. And then later on, we'll talk a little bit about, hopefully, one of the leads that I got from being part of the Alliance, a member of the Alliance. So
great. So Phil, you mentioned a little earlier that you focus primarily on mobile device management. Can you elaborate on that? I know you also mentioned VMware Workspace ONE.
Yep.
Are there other products that you use? Can you kind of maybe give a little peek into the secret sauce without giving it away?
So 12 years ago, I believe it or not, there were 34 companies that offered some type of an MDM solution. I created a spreadsheet, created all the features, capabilities, and things I thought I needed with a piece of software that would manage mobile devices, and that was really the focus. From there, I picked 3 of those vendors. It was AirWatch, Mass 360, and Mobile Iron. And I ran with those 3 vendors for the first 2 years. I quickly found out, all the things they didn't tell you up front and all the, bodies buried and why certain solutions were better. And so I made the decision 2 years into the company to drop Mobile Iron and Mass 360 and move all the clients over to AirWatch. And it was about 6 months later that VMware actually purchased AirWatch and changed that platform into what we now know as Workspace ONE. And what was traditionally a mobile device management platform became what we now call a unified endpoint management. And what I mean by that is now we manage not only the mobile devices, but the tablets and laptops, along with rugged devices, printers, VR devices, and all types of things. So obviously the software has changed quite a bit over the years. In addition to that, you've got new competitors, and what were the top competitors 12 years ago are not those same competitors. So it's changed quite a bit from just focusing on mobile devices to truly being a unified endpoint management solution that integrates not only the endpoints, but with all types of other solutions that customers use.
Well, and as you narrowed those down and kind of pinpointed the direction that you really wanted to take, you guys, from my understanding in a conversation that we've previously had, you're the only VMware partner with a master service competency. And so let's talk a little bit about that, what that means for you. And same question. I think Ingram has kind of helped you guys through that process a little bit. And so let's touch on that as well.
Yeah. So Ingram has been a great partner in the fact that, first of all, they connected us with the different resources internally to VMware. And then as we sought to become really experts, or what we call ourselves, or brain surgeons of EUC, we found that it was going to be important for us to differentiate ourselves and to continue to be experts. We had chosen, as an IT pro services company, to be experts in one particular area. And as I said, we focus on end user compute. We don't deal with networking, data center. We don't sell cloud services. We don't do a lot of the other things that other Alliance members do. So we have purposely pigeonholed ourselves to become experts in one area. And with that, just having the certifications were important, not only to us, but it was to VMware, our partner. So today we hold the highest level of certification with VMware that's called the Master Service Competency Certification. And we're the only company at VMware that is just focused on EUC that holds that competency. There are several other partners out there. I think there's close to 20 partners that have the master service competency in EUC, but there's some of your bigger integrators. There are people that dabble and focus in a lot of other things. We have decided to become experts in one area. So, that's one of the reasons. I will also mention that we're partners. We have 62 partners across the United States. So we are very partner focused, although we have direct clients. We have our own managed service portal. The primary business, the majority of the business we do on an annual basis is through other partners, several that work with Ingram and others outside of that, some of your largest partners and integrators around the world and some of the smallest ones. So we're kind of their brain surgeons when it comes to EUC.
So you mentioned the partner aspect, which I think is very interesting. And if maybe you could elaborate a little bit more. So companies like mine and Patrick's could also come to you for just the mobile device management aspect of it, and you could help us and our clients with those sorts of things. Is that what I'm hearing out of that?
That is exactly, yeah, that's what you're coming. We come in as a chosen partner of yours. We scope the call with the customer, with you on the phone. We provide you, the partner, with our statement of work. You then put that on your paper, add maybe some margin on it, and then present it. Because at the end of the day, we recognize this is your customer. We are just a partner of yours, and we represent you as we talk to that customer, work with that customer, and work on solutions for outcomes that customer have stated. So we work with a number of partners in that particular role. And it's very beneficial because I think we all recognize in life we can't be experts at everything. So let's pick the lane we're going to swim down, and let's become really good at that, at maybe one or two or three or four things. And then let's lean on people that have great expertise, and specifically in IT where things change so quickly. You really do need experts in various areas at certain times.
So I think it was like last quarter of 2022, you're still focused on that lane that you're swimming in, but you're also expanding a little bit. And so you're looking at portfolio products, you're taking what you've learned and adding a couple of other components to that. So let's talk for a minute or two about what you're rolling into and kind of what brought that decision about.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for years, and for the last 12 years, we have been a VMware, AirWatch, Workspace ONE, Horizon expert. And that particular relationship has kept us plenty busy. But over the last couple of years, we have gotten many of our partners and many of our direct clients asking us if we have expertise in Microsoft and Jamf in particular. Microsoft Intune, Endpoint Manager is another solution out there that's very popular with people. And Jamf is a mobile device management platform that is exclusively built for the iOS, Mac, Apple ecosystem. So we've been asked for years if we have that expertise, and we haven't spent time in that, but we made a decision about a year ago at our strategy meeting that we were going to get certified in this area, and if you would, spread our wings and expand our practice. And to anybody starting a business, I would never tell them to focus all their energy and attention just on one product or one company, but we had, and we've been successful in doing it. But we made that decision last year, fourth quarter. Well, we made it in the first quarter, but we didn't have time enough to do it. And so in the fourth quarter, we took all of our senior engineers, ran them through the training at Microsoft and at Jamf, and they are now certified to provide professional services on those two additional platforms. And we're excited about that and looking forward to, experiencing some new relationships in those additional areas.
Phil, are there any, could you delve into maybe some of the projects you've done? Would you be willing to kind of
absolutely
give a deep dive on that?
Yeah. So, as a lot of people understand, when you're in IT, you get to work with a lot of unique customers. The great thing for us is we've probably done north of 500, 600 deployments. We've worked in every vertical out there, and we've done work in every single state of the union, including Alaska and Hawaii. So we've seen a lot of stuff. We've seen the insides of a lot of organizations. Some of them are Fortune 100 companies, and some of them as small as 25 individuals in every area, major sports teams, major manufacturers, you name it. We've had the opportunity and really the privilege of working with a lot of companies. So that's been fun. Probably one of the most interesting things that we got to work on here just right before the pandemic actually came from the SMB Alliance and a meeting that I was at, the Ingram One event back in, I think it was 2018. I was introduced to Bill Blum of Alpine Business Systems, and everybody that is in the SMB Alliance knows Bill, a great guy. Anyway, I was introduced to Bill because he had a client that needed some help with tablets. And so Bill introduced me to one of his clients that happened to be a union back east. And come to find out, they were holding their 2019 annual convention in Las Vegas. And the interesting thing about this union is, like a lot of organizations, they're trying to modernize, become more digitally, look at the digital workspace is one of the buzzwords we talk about. And so they had decided to give out Android tablets in zippered cases to each one of their attendees that would have meeting notes, mobile apps, presentations on these tablets, and wanted to know if there was anybody that could prep these tablets to do that. And so they put us in touch with them. We had a great call with them. They told us their vision, what they wanted to do, and we pulled that off. We gave them a quote. We ended up purchasing 300 tablets for them, enrolling those tablets into Workspace ONE. And when we did, we were able to then securely download and provision those devices with notes, presentations, mobile apps, maps of the area they're going to be at in Vegas. And then as part of our support to them, we actually shipped those tablets out there, followed those tablets along with the zippered case that had their logo on it, and we handed those out to people. And then we stayed on board there in Vegas to be support for those people troubleshooting. And obviously, as you can imagine, people with those tablets, some of them had only picked up a tablet a very few times. Other people were very comfortable with opening it up, turning it on, looking at the various things, swiping back and forth. But others needed a little hand-holding. So we taught them how to use the tablet, how they could take notes, how they could look at different things on the tablet. And then everybody got to take those tablets home. And after those tablets were back home, we then took the Workspace ONE off the device, and those people ended up with a nice tablet with all their notes and everything from that particular annual convention. So it turned out to be very successful. We had, great reviews. People loved it. They learned a lot. They had a new way of taking notes and experiencing an annual convention. And then the great thing about it is probably about 2 months later, we got a call from that same union that wanted to introduce us to another union who was doing very much the same thing with their annual convention. And ultimately, we did talk to that second union. We did almost the same thing, but with close to 600 tablets. So we went back out to Vegas, basically did the same thing, had a great experience. So from my perspective, that's one of those examples where a referral from an SMB Alliance member not only gave, but it kept giving, right? It gave a second time. And I'll be happy to say that although we've been through the pandemic recently, one of those unions has contacted us within the last 2 months and said, hey, we want to plan for our 2024 conference. So it looks like that particular lead from Bill Blum might still bear fruit one more time.
That's awesome. And I like the pun that was intended there. So, Phil, I have a wrap-up question that we ask to all of our guests. So where do you see technology going in the next year?
Well, I think, especially due to the pandemic, I think all of us would agree that remote work is here to stay. It doesn't mean we won't go back in offices. People have returned. I think there's a lot of benefits for that. But we live in a mobile world. We live in a world that we're carrying things are attached to our heads. It's very mobile, and devices need to be able to connect remotely, but at the same time, be safe and secure. And whenever you're connecting things remotely, there's always that security issue. So from our perspective, we think end-user computing is just going to continue to grow and expand. The amount of data that we use on a remote device, such as a smartphone, a tablet, and even a laptop that's not plugged in to the internet on some type of wireless, it's amazing. And the amount of data that is being communicated back and forth is growing exponentially. So the need for that type of ability to do that for a growing population is going to continue. And the threat that the bad actors out there use that is going to continue to grow. So we think the end-user compute area is going to grow not only by size, but it's going to grow by need, because mobile devices continue to be a threat vector that the bad guys continue to want to leverage to do bad things. So we're excited about the future. It's changing, and the new features that we see within the space continue to make it easier and easier for IT, not only to manage your devices, but make it easier to provision those devices so new employees have a great experience when they come on board to a new company. And it's simple, it's easy, and it's not as cumbersome as it was, 2, 3, 5 years ago.
Well, Phil, on behalf of Devin and myself, thanks so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to talk a little bit of business and a little bit of tech with us. For folks that don't know you or folks that want to know more, where can they find out a little bit more about Tech Orchard or find you online? Yeah.
So first of all, if you're on the SMB Alliance website, you can go in there and either type in Tech Orchard or type in mobile under the search. So that's one great area to go. And that's a great resource, I will tell you. If you're looking for partners, I would encourage all of you out there, whenever you're looking for a partner, start at the SMB Alliance, because you're going to find good people with good hearts and skillful hands at the end of the day. The other way you can find us, obviously, on the web, just type in Tech Orchard, and on our website, you'll have all of our contact, but you'll see some of our processes. You'll see some of our certifications. You'll see a partial list of our customer base, and you'll also see a number of case studies that we try to put different case studies in there. And then there's a history of all of our newsletters we've sent out. Our blogs are in there. There's a lot of good information. And obviously, if you ever just want to talk, there's links in there that you can actually schedule a call with us and just ask general questions about EUC, or even talk business, and maybe you have a customer that needs some help with their endpoints, and we can certainly give them solutions and ideas and thoughts of how to do that. All the scoping calls that we do are absolutely free. We don't charge for that. Only if a customer signs off do we start the ticket going.
Thanks again, Phil. It was good talking with you. And thanks to our guests for tuning in to another episode of B2B Tech Talks As the Gears Turn edition. You can access this episode and many others directly from the Xvantage website.
You've been listening to As the Gears Turn, a series brought to you by B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. This episode was sponsored by Ingram Micro's SMB Alliance. To listen to this episode and many others, please visit ingrammicro.com.